Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name's Brian Craig, and the Brian Craig Show is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you're in the state of Florida and you need roof repair or replacement, Tom Laporta is your guy. He's a good MAGA guy, and he'll never sell you a roof you do not need. Online at LaportaRoofing.com. All right, so this has just been a very busy few days, right? You know, this big White House confrontation between President Trump and Zelensky, with JD against Zelensky too. And there's really been a sense of American pride that's just taken the whole country by storm since that happened. It's been so long since we've seen a president of the United States stand up for the American people in the United States that it really makes people feel good. Now, of course, the liberal media and the Trump haters like John Bolton and a bunch of them, they don't like it and it's terrible and everything else. But what President Trump did was right. And, President Trump, what happened here is President Trump had a peace deal all set up, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. But Marco Rubio was talking about this after the big event on Friday. They've had 2 or 3 instances where they've tried to get Zelensky to sign a deal, and he wouldn't do it. And he insisted on coming to the White House to sign it. So they did. And when he got there, he had no intention on signing. And he got some very bad advice from someone on how to handle Trump. And a lot of people are speculating online that Susan Rice got in his head, and maybe they talked. But the way that Zelensky carried himself, to me, seemed more like Nancy Pelosi got to him. Because if you remember, Pelosi and Schumer had that confrontation with Trump in the White House in the first term, and it really reminded me of that. So maybe he did talk to Susan Rice, but I think Pelosi got in his head. And, and there's no way that somebody didn't get Zelensky to go in there and make a fool out of himself. It's somebody, I'm not saying he's not responsible. Don't misunderstand me. What I'm saying is he got some advice from one of these Trump-hating, Trump derangement syndrome suffering lunatics, Susan Rice, I think it was Nancy Pelosi, maybe both. And they said, okay, this is how you handle Trump. Because, these people that hate Trump, they don't understand him. Okay, they have all these terrible stereotypes about him. They think about him in all these terrible negative ways, and they don't understand how he operates, what he's thinking, nothing. Okay, so when they say this is how you should handle Trump, that it's always wrong, because first off, you can't handle Trump. Nobody can handle Trump except maybe Melania, and she probably even has difficulty, and you can't treat him like that. So it was a disaster personally for Zelensky, but I would say that overall, time will tell, of course, but overall, I think it helps everyone, not just the United States, but Ukraine. And really, Zelensky's got to go. There's 3 players here in this war, and Zelensky is the third wheel, way far down. You've got Trump and Putin, and Zelensky can't stand Trump or Putin. He can't get along with Putin or Trump. So if he's antagonistic to the 2 main players, President Trump and Putin, how can he be a broker for peace, which he doesn't even want? Okay, so he's really got to go. They need to find themselves a new president. His term is up. They need to find themselves a new president. There's just not going to be peace over there with him. And one of the things that is insane, it's crazy that the Ukrainian people, okay, since this war began, have lost 25% of their population. They're gone. They're dead. 25% of the population of Ukraine is dead since the war. That's crazy. I mean, that's a massive loss. And, to put that in perspective, I was looking at the Second World War. In 1941, when the Japs bombed Pearl Harbor, the population was a little less than 200 million. So, just using the 200 million number, that would be as if the United States in the Second World War lost between 45 and 50 million. That's a lot. And with today's population, it would be like we were in a war and lost like 85 to 87 million people. So that's how much a quarter of the population is. So Ukraine has lost 25% of their population. I mean, come on. They're losing the war, and Russia's taken some heavy hits too. The official numbers are they've lost 600,000, but some say a billion. The Russian official Putin numbers are 600,000. So my guess is he's probably being conservative on that number. So they both taken bad losses, but Russia has a bigger population. It's a bigger country. Just over the course of time, at the current state of everything, they're going to run out of people in Ukraine. Okay, the average age of their soldiers is over 40. I heard on Fox this morning, they said that they're actually drafting people with Down syndrome to fight for them in Ukraine. I mean, come on. You know, they can't hold out much longer, even with our help. I mean, they're losing. They're losing bad. And Zelensky has less than zero interest in ending it. Now, President Trump's peace plan with Ukraine is fantastic. He wants those mineral contracts, not just because he wants to get the money back that the United States has given Ukraine for this war. That's a big part of it, no doubt about it. But a lot of the mines and whatever places else, whatever other resources they're talking about are near Russia. And some of them are in Russian-occupied territory. So Trump wants these mineral rights for a number of reasons. One, he wants the money back that we've given them. That's one. I mean, that's the obvious one. But the other is he wants to have American interest in Ukraine. And with these mineral rights, it'd be a pretty nice size American, not just company over there, but American population would move to Ukraine on the side of Ukraine, eastern Ukraine, which is close to Russia, and Russia's not going to attack or invade when you've got a bunch of Americans over there. That'd be crazy. And it gives them protection without having to have a permanent military presence in Ukraine or any military presence at all. The United States can offer safety and security from future Russian invasions simply by having so many Americans there. Also, part of what Trump wants to do and has to do. So Russia has a whole bunch of territory that was Ukraine before the war started. I'm not talking about Crimea, but some of these mineral areas are in areas that are currently being occupied by Russia. Trump wants to push Russia back as far as he can out of you. He's not going to get completely out of Ukraine, Putin. He's going to keep some of that, but Trump's going to try to get him to keep as little as possible. And if we have the mineral rights, he can use that as an excuse to push Putin a little further back. So it's a brilliant idea, and it helps everyone, and it stops the bloodshed. And Zelensky won't do. Not only that, Zelensky wouldn't even agree to the ceasefire yesterday. I mean, come on, who's against a ceasefire, a temporary halt to the fighting, especially when you're on the side that's losing and has lost 25% of your population? It's insane. It makes no sense whatsoever. You know, and the way that everything went down in the Oval Office on Friday, I'm not going to go through all that now because you've seen it by now probably many, many times. I did a very good live stream showing the entire thing on Friday right after it happened. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. And I give a lot of commentary on it. But I think President Trump's peace plan is perfect. I've never seen a peace plan that involved a situation where we didn't have to have a military presence behind. It's awesome. And it puts a buffer. Having American companies with American workers in these mines, whatever they got over there, close to the Russian border is almost like having a DMZ like we have between North and South Korea. It gives a buffer between the two countries having Americans there. And what Zelensky's thinking, I don't know if anyone knows what Zelensky's thinking, but he's got to go. I mean, he's done. Now, that being said, JD Vance is amazing. You know, a week or two ago, President Trump gave an interview. I can't remember which one it was. And they had asked him, is JD Vance your successor? And he says, no. He says he's got to earn it. Well, hey, listen, we're a couple years away from that decision, but he made people proud. JD Vance. The way JD Vance handled himself with Zelensky was amazing. And I don't know a single MAGA person who would not be happy with him being our second MAGA president. Who would be against that? He did such a great job, JD Vance. He really stood up to Zelensky. He handled it. Everything he said was perfect. And he was tough. This was really JD Vance's first time at this level. He had that event a couple weeks ago in Munich, but that was up on a stage. Everyone's kind of removed. This was face to face, sitting on a couch. I mean, I was pretty impressed. And this entire event was so historic because we've never seen something like this before. We've never seen, and I would say it's very safe to assume that no president of the United States has gotten into a heated discussion at that level, not even Reagan with Gorbachev in Iceland, like this. Because this was live on television. People are going to be talking about this for 50 years, maybe even 100 years. Every president, every candidate, they always say, "Oh, we're going to have the most transparent administration." I've never seen something like this. Have you? This is like transparency times infinity, and it was all right there. And like President Trump, I'm glad it happened for a lot of reasons. But one of them is, I think it really put in the proper perspective what Zelensky is all about. He's like John Bolton, who wants Marco Rubio to resign because of this disaster, he calls it. He's a warmonger, like John Bolton, Zelensky. People could see that this guy does not care about his own people. If he cared about his people, he's losing. He would at least agree to the ceasefire and try to work something out, but he won't do it. So no, he's bad news. There's nothing about Zelensky other than bad news. I want to tell you the free shipping offer continues. I just checked just a little while ago. The free shipping offer is still in effect at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout, KANE at MyPillow.com. Not only do you get the free shipping, you get the huge savings too. And there's huge discounts, very huge discounts on some of the top MyPillow products. You can get the MyPillow towel sets for less than $30, the sheets at the lowest prices ever, the pillows themselves at incredibly low prices. There's specials throughout the entire site on some of the most popular items, the slippers, the mattress toppers, the new kitchen sets with the aprons and oven mitts. It's just incredible deals. The pet beds, the pajamas, the socks, the mattresses. Kathy and I recently got a MyPillow mattress a few months ago. It's amazing. Huge discounts plus free shipping on all orders with no minimum order size. So no matter how small the order is, free shipping with our promo code Kane at checkout. And I really do appreciate your support for MyPillow because every time you use our promo code Kane, you're supporting this program as well as all my content, the radio show, my YouTube channel, as well as the podcast, and it's greatly appreciated. Promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout at MyPillow.com. All right, we're going to take our first break. Don't go anywhere. There's so much to cover. My name's Brian Craig. We'll be back right after this. Artificial intelligence isn't the future, it's the now. AI is already changing the way we live, work, and think. The question is, are you keeping up? From author Dr. Mustafa comes your next must-read book, Everyday AI, available on Amazon. Everyday AI is the ultimate guide to understanding and using AI in ways that will make your life easier, smarter, and more productive. With this book, you'll discover how AI is revolutionizing industries like healthcare, education, and entertainment. You'll learn to use AI tools to boost your productivity, make better decisions, and even future-proof your career. Don't have a tech degree? No problem. Everyday AI breaks down complex concepts into simple, real-world applications that anyone can understand. Step into the future with confidence. AI is here, and it's time to make it work for you. Order your copy of Everyday AI from author Dr. Mustafa on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Don't just watch the future happen, be a part of it with Everyday AI on Amazon. Stay True, Stay Empowered is your go-to monthly podcast for real, raw, and relevant conversations that cut through the noise. Hosted by Teresa Bandiola, Teray for short. Each episode dives into the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Life, growth, challenges, and empowerment. Whether it's personal stories, thought-provoking insights, or unfiltered discussions on what truly matters. Stay True, Stay Empowered is a podcast that keeps it honest and relatable. If you're looking for inspiration, connection, and a reminder to stay true to yourself, Stay True, Stay Empowered is your space. Tune in every month for a spark of real talk that empowers you to keep going. Stay True, Stay Empowered streams on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and other podcast platforms worldwide. Add Stay True, Stay Empowered to your podcast playlist right now. Experience the mystery, elegance, and soothing power of Dark Night Candles. Only at candlesbyross.com. Handcrafted with care by Ross, the creator of the Dark Night Candle line. These luxurious candles are designed to ease anxiety, relieve stress, and bring a serene glow to your home. Each flame represents resilience, strength, and quiet sophistication. Infused with deep, evocative fragrances, Dark Night Candles are eco-friendly and handmade with care in the charming village of Grays Lake, Illinois. They're perfect for those who love modern luxury with a touch of mystique. Right now, enjoy free shipping and an exclusive buy two, get one free offer. No code needed. Shop the entire Dark Night Candle collection today at candlesbyross.com. Let their glow bring warmth and serenity to your space. The Dark Night Candle collection, where modern craftsmanship meets legendary spirit. Order now at candlesbyross.com. When disaster strikes, every second counts. And if a storm has damaged your home or you're dealing with mold and moisture issues, Skydrop Restoration is here for you 24/7. Based in Orlando, Florida, and serving the Central Florida area, Skydrop Restoration understand how important your home is. That's why they specialize in storm damage repair, mold removal, and emergency restoration. Skydrop Restoration will also help connect you with a public adjuster from a third-party company. So when you file your insurance claim, you can receive a fair settlement to cover the damage to your home and restore it to its original state. Don't wait for the damage to get worse. Schedule your free moisture inspection right now. Call 689-326-4339. 689-326-4339. And online, skydroprestoration.info. At Skydrop Restoration, they restore what matters most, your home. skydroprestoration.info. And they're available 24/7. skydroprestoration.info.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, and this is The Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks for tuning in. All right, now this story over the weekend on CNN. Caitlin Collins, executive producer, suddenly quits show. Let me go through this, and I'll tell you what I think is going on at CNN and the mainstream fake news at the same time. This is in the Daily Mail, but it's being reported in many other sources. Caitlin Collins, veteran TV producers, have suddenly quit her CNN show after reportedly being overworked by CNN. Kristen Donnelly has resigned from her position as executive producer of The Source with Caitlin Collins. This is according to Oliver Darcy's status newsletter. CNN employees were notified of her departure on Thursday, where she reportedly told coworkers that the demanding schedule had taken its toll on her and the hours were brutal. Donnelly has been with the show since its launch in 2023. She was brought on for her experience managing high-profile shows. She's previously worked on Inside Politics with John King, which she started in 2017 when she joined CNN. Caitlin Collins' show is the most watched primetime show on CNN. The host herself makes $3 million a year. And I remember Caitlin Collins, she's a psychopath. If you see her, she's very strange. And she's the one that President Trump just demolished in that town hall during the campaign. The host makes $3 million a year, Caitlin Collins. She's juggling two roles as anchor for her show as well as the CNN chief White House correspondent. Donnelly's departure, this is the producer, comes at a time when the Legacy Network is struggling with viewership numbers. Despite Caitlin Collins being the most watched for CNN, it only ranks third in the 9 p.m. time slot against the competition. It significantly trails behind Hannity and even Rachel Maddow's show. And the numbers in these that they get, Hannity 272,000, Rachel Maddow 132,000. At what point will the television news as we know it no longer be on? I mean, people are getting more views than that. I mean, I get more views than that every day on all my platforms, right? Radio, YouTube, everything. If you add up everything I get, I'm getting more views than these people. And I'm not paid anywhere near that. All right. I wish I was. I wouldn't do so many different shows and everything if I was making that kind of money. Fox News pulls out a clear lead. It goes on about all those. Collins recently faced backlash on social media for reporting on Donald Trump. It goes, okay. I'm not going to go through the rest of this story. This is what I think is going on. This producer for Caitlin Collins who says that she's overworked. My guess would be this. The news business has not been in the business of news. And what they're generally, and they are now to some extent, they're trying, what they get into a little deeper in the article, if I read some more of the 3,000 words, they're saying that the news cycle is moving too fast for the media to keep up. We've talked about that a lot. Donald Trump is doing so much. He'll do something big, and then the next day or even that same day, he'll do something else big, and the media are having a hard time keeping up. We've been talking about this, and that is true. And the reason that they're having a hard time keeping up is because it's been a long time since the news was really the news. They've spent the last 15 or 20 years crafting fake narratives that they just make up in their morning meetings, and then they sit around all day and talk about them. Now they're actually having to report news for the first time ever, really, in 15 years, maybe longer. And I just don't think they're up to it. Another thing with this producer, the producer's an older woman, older than Caitlin Collins. I don't know. She looks like she's in her 50s. Caitlin Collins is much younger and is really a no talent. She's just psychotic. And she's probably a terror to work with. Caitlin Collins, very spoiled, look at the way she speaks to the president of the United States in the Oval Office. So for the producer to have to work alongside that nutcase probably isn't pleasant either. But just sum it all up, the news have been just crafting these fake narratives, and then they babble about them for days and weeks on end. And now that they've actually got a report on news, they don't know how to handle it. Now, Gretchen Carlson, Gretchen Carlson's a big time man hater. She used to be at CNN, then she went over to, she was at Fox, and then she went to CNN, where she's at now. And she's a real man hater. I always forget it, was she Miss America or Miss USA? I think she was a Miss America, which I don't understand because she doesn't have the looks, face or body of a Miss America. It must have been a very strange year. But when she left Fox, she left during all that Me Too era at Fox that Megyn Kelly was involved in and all that. Remember they made that movie? Actually, that movie where Charlize Theron plays Megyn Kelly is pretty good. I watched that movie a couple years ago. It was on Hulu. I don't know where it's at now, but it was pretty good. But she's a man hater, Gretchen Carlson, and she became an executive with the Miss America pageant. She took out the swimsuit competition a few years ago, which is the only reason people watch that over the years. But she's speaking out about Trump in the Zelensky meeting. Former Fox News anchor Gretchen Carlson claimed the explosive Oval Office clash between Donald Trump and Zelensky was staged for maximum political effect. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. Gretchen Carlson has no sources. She's just making shit up here. And she's making something up, and now that's a story. She doesn't know that it was staged, but I'll tell you, by staged, if the president and the vice president got pissed off at Zelensky because he's refused, we learned from the Secretary of State, Florida's own Marco Rubio, that he refused to sign at least 2, maybe 3 agreements, and then insisted on coming to the White House to sign, and then he didn't intend to sign it. So if they said this guy's a real son of a, you know what, and we're going to lay into him, so what? What's wrong with that? Appearing on CNN's morning panel, Gretchen Carlson did not hold back, as she called the heated exchange between the world leaders a deliberate spectacle aimed at captivating the American public and reinforcing Trump's nationalist agenda. See, here's the deal, all right? Donald Trump had an incredible peace plan all set up that would not only stop the war, stop the killing, but stop a nonstop multi-decades battle on the borders with skirmishes where people get killed too, and skirmishes between Russia and Ukraine. And what he came up with was this. It was the mineral rights. The mineral rights, these mines are in eastern Ukraine, right? That's the side Russia's on. And what President Trump wanted to do with that was 2 things. One, the mineral rights, because they say they're rare earth minerals, would go to pay back the United States for all the billions we've given Ukraine. But also on that border, that on the side of Ukraine towards Russia, you would have American companies with American workers who would be there with their families, which include their children, who would live and work in eastern Ukraine on the side that borders Russia. Okay. And that would stop Russia from having skirmishes on the border in the future because they would not want to take the chance of killing an American. And what Trump was setting up with that wasn't just to get the money back. That was part of it, certainly an important part of it. But he's also setting up kind of like a non-military, a non-fortified DMZ like we have at the 38th parallel in Korea. But this time it would be Americans, and it would stop endless skirmishes between the 2 countries. It was a perfect idea. And Zelensky wouldn't sign it. Why? Because he got worked up by the Never Trumpers before he went into the meeting. Carlson told CNN anchor Abby Phillips, I felt like it was completely planned. I mean, even Trump said this was great TV, and it's sort of like he let the cat out of the bag. Carlson said she believed Trump and Vice President JD Vance orchestrated the dramatic standoff, ensuring that their tough stance on Ukraine's military funding would dominate social media and conservative media outlets. She claimed the explosive Oval Office clash between Trump and Zelensky was staged for maximum political effort. If you go on any social media, you're seeing people say, yay, we got America back again. Make America great again. And I was asking, how does this make America great again, she asked, questioning the true motives behind the fire exchange. See, so what? I think, Trump had a peace plan. Zelensky had no intention on signing that mineral deal. He doesn't want the war to end. And Trump was pissed. And if you watch that exchange, it was a press conference in that room that went on for 50 minutes or so, maybe a little more than 50 minutes. And the part that we all saw that everyone's talking about is about the last 11 minutes of a 50 some odd minute thing. And things were going fine until. And I know a lot of people are saying when Zelensky called the vice president JD ticked off Trump. I think Trump was just ticked off at him in general because it was obvious Zelensky wasn't going to sign anything. And what's going on in America right now is he doesn't want the war to end. Okay, Zelensky. He wants the war to go on forever and ever. And throughout America, over the weekend, there have been these very large pro-Ukraine war protests. There was a big one in New York City. Vice President JD Vance and his family were at a ski vacation in Vermont over the weekend, and these pro-Ukrainian war protesters hit that area so hard that the vice president and his family had to be taken to a secure location by the Secret Service. Okay, so the way you look at how they're behaving, and the thing about these Ukrainian protesters that we're seeing around the country right now, you got to ask yourself a question. In the United States, when have you seen protesters protest to keep a war going? I've never seen anything like this before. Listen, this is in Breitbart. Vice President JD Vance and his family were moved to an undisclosed location after they were met with pro-Ukrainian war protesters outside of a ski resort in Vermont. Protesters could be seen holding signs at Sugar Bash Ski Resort that read, Vance is a traitor. Go ski in Russia. And JD Vance is Nazi scum, according to a post on X from Fox News. And there are pictures of this, and all the signs look the same. They were made by the same organization, the ones in Vermont I'm talking about. So I'm looking at them. So I don't know what organization made them. The USAID money's been cut off. So I don't know where the money's coming from for these protesters to travel around America and have all these signs that look exactly the same. The Vance family, which was reported as having skied on one side of the mountain in order to avoid the crowd of protesters, also ended up being moved to an undisclosed location after seeing the ruckus at the ski resort, according to Fox News. One skier told the outlet that protesters were effing morons. Yeah, that's accurate. The protest at the ski resort comes a day after Zelensky was kicked out of the White House. Now, keep in mind, remember, Zelensky in the White House, in that meeting that we've all seen, called the vice president a bitch in Russian. So, that meeting was perfect. It went down perfect. The world got to see Zelensky for the person that he truly is, which is a terrible person who doesn't want the dying to end, doesn't want the killing to end in his own country, who came here based on a lie, had zero plans on signing anything. And he was treated as he should have been treated by the president. He was disrespectful to the president, and he was also disrespectful to our country by the way he behaved in there. So no, the way that President Trump behaved was perfect. It was acceptable, and it really woke the world up to what Zelensky is truly all about. And I'm glad it happened that way. And yeah, Americans are proud. I'm sorry, Gretchen Carlson. Americans are proud of our president who's putting America first, which is something that doesn't happen all that often. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support. And guys, if you'd like to support my content, not just my podcast, but my YouTube channel and everything else that I do, becoming a Patreon supporter helps me out with that quite a bit. I'd mentioned last week that my ability to not have to drive over 2 hours each day on the road to the radio station and broadcast from home is because those of you who are Patreon supporters, it allowed me to upgrade my studios and be able to do that. And I'm very grateful for that. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of the episode. And Patreon supporters, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of the podcast episodes on the Patreon page. All right. And my wife, Kathy, and I, we post a lot of things on the Patreon page. We post nowhere else. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout out on each episode. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R, John S, Frank, and Dale. Thank you so much. Those are our top Patreon supporters there. Okay, so what I was talking about a moment ago, when have you seen protests like we're seeing now with these lunatics, with these Ukrainian flags and Ukrainian flags painted on these signs, protest in favor of a war? There's a history of anti-war protesters in this country, although, you look at Vietnam and those were all fake protests against the Vietnam War, we come to find. Remember, they had the height of the Vietnam War protest was prior to Richard Nixon winning 49 of the 50 states and winning re-election. Okay, so the Vietnam War was popular, but there were protests against it in every state of different sizes. Okay, pretty much. And I've never seen protest in favor of a war to keep things going. And is it, are these protesters, do they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome just so much that they can't see straight? Are they just paid protesters? What's going on here? I don't know. So let me know your thoughts on that. Now I want to share this. James Carville is a nut. Okay, and let me just play this, and then we'll talk about it a little bit.
What you saw is madness.
He's now just a quick setup. James Carville is giving his opinion on what happened with the president, the vice president, and Zelensky in the Oval Office on Friday.
What you saw is madness, and I don't mean madness like I'm mad at you, you mad at me, you didn't say this. I'm talking about madness like King George III kind of madness. And it could be a combination of being a fat fucking slob, which of course he is.
Oh my goodness, he's talking about the president of the United States.
It could be that...
I guess I won't be playing this one on the radio this week.
He can't sleep at night because his beached whale body can't allow the circulation it needs. I don't know. I'm not a sleep specialist or a medical doctor. But I think we should revisit the possibility of a syphilis diagnosis.
Oh.
And I know a lot of people that watch this channel, or some of you, or we get any number of MDs and professionals that are getting the comments, and some of you just well-informed citizens. But I don't think we can discount the fact that what we saw was mad. I'm not going to concede that I'm just asking questions. I'm just making an observation that everyone saw. We know that boy ain't right.
He's talking about President Trump. What's scary about that is that when Clinton was president, he was one of the most powerful people in Washington, really in the country. He really was, Carville. He was a senior advisor to President Clinton. He did a lot, and he was not a nice guy then, but it shows you now that he's not really interested in what people think of him anymore. And he looks like, every time I see him, that he's zoomed in from using Zoom. That's what I mean. Zoomed in from a retirement community or something. And I mean like a nursing home or something. He doesn't look like he's in a normal place. We're seeing the true face of not just James Carville, but the true face of the Democrats and the Never Trumpers. And when you hear that poison that just came out of James Carville's mouth about our great president, who's desperately trying to stop a war with Ukraine and Russia, trying to stop the killing. That's how they feel about him and us. That's it. I mean, they are just filled with vile hate. They have nothing. They have nothing but hate. They're all driven by hate, and hate, has an effect on the brain like intoxication. They've lost all sense of reality. They're out of their minds. So I do pay attention to James Carville because it's a look inside how the Democrats and the Never Trumpers feel about the president and us in MAGA world. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about Dr. Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. Guys, I tell you, we have had listeners travel to see Dr. Appleton from all over the United States and all over the state of Florida, too. His laser wave pain treatment works. Living in pain, I thought as you got older, pain, aches and pain, that's just life. And since I met Dr. Appleton, I realized, no, it can be your life if you don't go to see Dr. Appleton and get the laser treatment. But if you want to say bye-bye to your pain, like I've done 7 times with Dr. Appleton, sometimes pain from aging, right? My knee pain, my arthritis, sometimes from injuries in my shoulders when I've taken falls and things. Go see Dr. Appleton. Take advantage of the laser wave pain treatment. Appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays with Dr. Appleton. It's 100% painless. You don't even feel it when it's happening. There's no feeling at all. There's no shots, no injections, no medication, no downtime. And of course, the best part is it works. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break. There's a lot more to talk about. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. We'll be back right after this. Have you been searching for premium supplements that truly pack a punch? Your search is over with BulkBullySupplements.com. BulkBullySupplements.com have everything you're looking for, from protein and nutrition to pre-workout and recovery supplements. And they source only the top brands from the United States and Canada, like Anatomy Labs, NutriFit, My Cookie Dealer, and many, many more. Make sure you check out their creatine gummies. They're 2 gummies packed with 5 grams of creatine, and their protein coffee is filled with 180 milligrams of caffeine, plus 15 grams of protein. Nothing else hits like it. They're family-owned and operated in British Columbia, and they're not your average supplement store. They offer products you can't find anywhere else, including the hardest-hitting pre-workouts on the market. They offer free shipping in the United States on orders over $120, and in Canada, it's free shipping on orders over $125. Download the Bulk Bully Supplements app in the Google Play and Apple App Store for faster ordering, rewards. There's even a buy now, pay later option. And follow Bulk Bully Supplements on Instagram and Facebook so you can stay updated on new products and deals. BulkBullySupplements.com. Premium supplements for all your needs. Fuel your journey. Start shopping right now. BulkBullySupplements.com. Great leaders aren't born, they're made. From business strategist and leadership expert Jim Carlo comes a powerful new book that's a roadmap to success in today's fast-paced world. The 6 Pillars of Effective Leadership, available on Amazon. With over 3 decades of experience leading multi-million-dollar companies, the author reveals the 6 essential attributes that define true leadership: integrity, credibility, stability, focus, growth, and impact. Whether you're a seasoned executive or an aspiring leader, the 6 Pillars of Effective Leadership gives you the tools you need to inspire your team, overcome challenges, and drive real success. Leadership isn't about titles, it's about action. Are you ready to level up? Then order your copy of The 6 Pillars of Effective Leadership from author Jim Carlo on Amazon. This book also makes a great gift to your management team. Lead with purpose. Succeed with confidence. Couples, listen up. How would you like to experience a deeper, more fulfilling connection with your spouse? From author Greg Stewart, PhD, comes the book I Cubed for Couples, Facing Our Negative Emotions to Build Intimacy in Marriage. This groundbreaking book will help you unlock the power of emotional intelligence to transform your relationship. You'll learn to understand and manage emotions together, communicate effectively to resolve conflicts with ease, build emotional safety, trust, as well as intimacy, cultivate a thriving passionate relationship that stands the test of time. Whether you're newlyweds or have shared a lifetime together, IQ for Couples provides a roadmap to the marriage you've always dreamed of. Available now on Amazon in paperback and Kindle, as well as drgregstewart.com. IQ for Couples, Facing Our Negative Emotions to Build Intimacy in Marriage, from author Greg Stewart, PhD. Order your copy right now, because the strongest marriages are built on emotional intelligence. Imagine bringing the beauty of the outdoors inside. Lush botanical prints, nature-inspired decor, and cozy touches that transform your home into a peaceful retreat. That's exactly what you will find at Golden Greenhouse LLC on Etsy.com, where nature meets design. The founder of Golden Greenhouse LLC is Jen. She's a former designer for QVC and HSN. Golden Greenhouse LLC is her dream turned reality, combining her years of expertise with a deep love for gardening as well as home decor. At Golden Greenhouse LLC, you'll find designer wallpaper, plush throw pillows, blankets, and that's just the beginning of the exciting inventory at Golden Greenhouse LLC. Everything is crafted to bring warmth, style, and nature's magic to your space. Whether you're refreshing a room or finding that perfect gift, every piece is crafted with love and inspired by the beauty of the natural world. Use the promo code IHEART25 and save 25% on all orders over $75. Go right now to goldengreenhousellc.etsy.com. Explore the collection. You will be impressed. Decor and gifts inspired by nature that bring the outdoors inside. goldengreenhousellc.etsy.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast. Kathy's joining me in the last segment here. You know, I was talking about this in the last segment, and then I had forgotten because one was yesterday. You know, there have been two security threats over the weekend. One, President Trump, and one, the vice president.
Right.
Now, in the last segment, I was talking about what happened to JD Vance. I just recap it because you weren't here, Kathy. JD Vance and his entire family were at a ski resort in Vermont yesterday. These pro-Ukrainian war protesters descended on the area. Secret Service had to take JD Vance and his family to an undisclosed location.
Oh my goodness.
And that was yesterday. Also yesterday, there was a threat on President Trump. I talked about this on YouTube yesterday. Kathy and I, we were sitting in our living room. We had our back door open because the weather's so nice in Florida. And we heard jets flying over our house. You guys know we don't live too far from Mar-a-Lago. And you could hear them. They were low, they were loud. And there's we don't have planes flying over our house too much, but there's a private executive airport not too far from where we live, but they don't fly over our house. And then it happened again, and you're like, what's going on? So I went out in the backyard and I saw fighter jets flying over our house. I went in the front yard. They were flying, and they were flying fast. They weren't going the speed of sound. They weren't going like supersonic speeds, but they were flying really fast in some very strange maneuvers. And then I saw them take off, one towards Mar-a-Lago and the other one towards Trump National Golf Course, because when the jets were flying over, President Trump had just gotten to the golf course, the one where they tried to shoot him a few months back. And they said there were three instances yesterday with Trump around 11, around 12, and then again around 1 where private aircraft flew into restricted airspace. And that's why they scrambled the F-16s. They were F-16s, we found out. And then we had that incident with JD Vance in Vermont yesterday. So there were two major security incidents against each of them yesterday. The day, which was Saturday, the day after this confrontation in the Oval Office with Zelensky, and also the planes in the restricted airspace. I haven't heard anything a day later now on who they were or anything about them. So, you know, who's the dangerous ones here? Trump, who keeps getting shot, you know, and they have threats against him, or the left?
Well, obviously, it's not our side.
That's for sure.
You know, the violence always comes from the left. But they feel it's totally justified. They feel that the ends justifies the means. This is how they operate. They're going to force you one way or another to do what they want you to do because they feel it's better. I mean, Democrats, and I've always said this, there's a certain personality type that's attracted to that party.
Yeah.
And that's how I believe people become Democrats, either that way or through their parents. And if they come through it by their parents, those are the ones, to me, more likely to change.
Yeah.
And to wake up when to the reality of things when they get older. But the people that like you or your mom grew up a Democrat, her dad was a union guy, and now she voted for Trump. It took her a while, but the people that have this personality glitch where they have a desire to control, they think they know better, they think everybody else in the room is stupid. They're the ones who are the radicalized. It's not so much about the policies that they care about. It's the control that they want. It's the power they want. And that's what attracts them to that party, because or the crookedness, the thievery, the lying, because they're all of those things. I don't understand why people stay in that party, but there's got to be a personality flaw in the people that are hardcore. Like Bill Maher, for example. Even Alec Baldwin's brother, the oldest one, or not the oldest, I don't know his name, Daniel, I think he's on TikTok.
The weird looking one.
And he's no, not the weird looking. That's Stephen Baldwin. Not William, the other guy.
Oh yeah, I know here. I don't know his name.
He's been in a few movies. They all have the same voice. It's crazy. But he does TikToks, and he's a Republican now.
I know who you're talking about.
And he supports Trump, and he said his family grew up Kennedy Democrats. but he has switched parties because he said the party is unrecognizable from when he grew up and in the 70s and 80s and 90s, that it's become radicalized. And so that's what I mean. People that are born into it, they kind of wake up.
Yeah.
But the people that have a personality glitch where they feel this need to empower, to have power over others, to shame others into submission. It's not, I don't think, always about the politics. It's just, like I said, they just like that feeling. But the thing with Trump, it was interesting, and JD, that happened. And you're right, it was really weird because I've noticed since Trump became president, we have two airports in Palm Beach. There's the executive airport in Boca, which is about an hour due south of Mar-a-Lago because it's close to the ocean. The executive airport, it's out east, and it's probably a half a mile from the beach.
Yeah.
And that is due south about 45 minutes. So I'd say maybe 35 miles of Mar-a-Lago. And then Palm Beach International Airport is literally like 2 miles west of Mar-a-Lago. So we have those two airports. And I've noticed since he became president, there's more planes flying over our house. I've never heard planes flying over our house before. And I told you the other day, I said, I think they've changed the flight patterns because Trump's in office now. I'm sure it's been going on for a few months. Since January, but I never really paid attention. So I've been kind of used to planes flying over now. And then we heard this low flying sound and it was 4 in a row. And I said to you, what the hell is that? And you're like, I don't know. And it was a sound I've never heard before. It wasn't like a regular plane. No. So anyway, and
it was really low.
And my mom was going to the pool. She lives in a condo, and she was walking to the pool about 11:30ish, and they flew right over her. So she texted me, "Oh my gosh, a bunch of fighter jets." So yeah, I don't know what. Yeah,
it was so low. When we were in the house, we thought maybe a plane was going down because it was that low. It shouldn't be flying. They don't usually fly.
Yeah,
not jets.
No, they don't. But they're safe, and I'm sure it was scary for JD's children. I mean, he has small children. You know, they don't understand what's going on. They understand their daddy's in an important role. He's on TV. He's helping run the country. But that's about the extent of it.
Do you
so
really
it must have been terrifying for them.
Do you really think, okay, we had Trump in Palm Beach with a security threat with the fighter jets protection coming in yesterday. Three instances of planes flying in restricted airspace. JD Vance in Vermont had to be taken to a secure location.
Yeah.
You think that's just a coincidence the day after the Zelensky meeting?
No,
there's something going on here. And, for both of them, I mean, how often is there a problem with a vice president?
Well, I never. And that's because
and Zelensky, remember, called him a bitch in Russian.
Yeah, he also called him JD.
Yeah.
And, I've been watching the news and the pundits, talking heads about this. And surprisingly, there's a lot of Democrats who are actually agreeing with MAGA and saying that Zelensky was out of line.
He was.
And this one guy who was on CNN yesterday, he said the problem was that he addressed him as JD. And he said, Vice President Vance said something to him about diplomacy. And then Zelensky should have just kept his mouth shut. Instead, he got very in his face and was like, JD. And he was like, what do you mean diplomacy? And he said that was where he screwed up. He should have just sat there and said nothing, but he challenged the vice president, who's a Marine, by the way, and he's about 6'7". And he's a very tough, if you see his movie, his mama was one tough lady. And so that is who raised him. She had like 30 guns in her house. And if you see the movie with Glenn Close, nobody pushed her around. Nobody. So that's who raised this man. And I was thinking about that, this is his mama in him. That's why he's so tough, because he was raised by a tough woman.
Yeah.
And she didn't take crap from anybody. And when he said to him, JD, and then laid into him, that was his fatal mistake. And I agree, because he didn't call him vice president. He addressed him like did not give him the respect he deserved. And Trump just sat there for a minute and then let JD do his thing. And then Trump jumped in and destroyed him. Destroyed him.
Yep.
And all these people on the news are saying it was planned, like Gretchen Carlson. She's got the worst hair I've ever seen. It was staged. It was planned. And that's a bunch of nonsense. I watched that thing 20 times over the weekend. They played it over and over and over again. That was very organic. Because how can they determine Zelensky's reaction and what he would do? These people on the left live in a fantasy world. They're deluded. So they think that they colluded behind the scenes to play this out and had it scripted. That's the kind of crap they do. That wasn't scripted or planned. That was totally organic.
And then when JD Vance, when Zelensky went on Brett Baer after the incident, Zelensky said JD Vance shouldn't even been in the meeting or spoke. I mean, who does he think he is?
Well,
Zelensky.
It wasn't a meeting. It wasn't a meeting. They do this all the time before the meetings. Okay, they have a little tete-a-tete with the press.
Like a photo op.
And you have the vice president. Pete Hegseth was there. Marco Rubio was there. Sometimes the first lady's there. There's a whole room of people that are in this room when they bring these leaders in and have a little thing with the media. And, they'll do it. You might just see them in front of the fireplace, but there's a whole room full of staff.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were sitting on that couch that's in the Oval Office, the two couches that face each other. And they were sitting there and they had the meeting there. And, I got to tell you, I've never seen a vice president do that. And it doesn't bother me. And I don't think it bothered Trump. I think he was genuinely pissed off. He had just come from Geneva and gave that speech on free speech, and he had a genuine concern and question, and Trump let him address it. He didn't tell JD to shut up or anything. He just sat there. And when Zelensky started going after JD, I felt that Trump was being protective of him, like a father.
Yeah.
Like he sees JD as a son type, and he's probably the same age as Eric. And he's very protective of him. And it probably really pissed him off the way he talked to him. But regardless of all that, what the whole thing is Marco Rubio, and the Secretary of the Treasury is amazing. I can't remember his name. The gay guy, he's really good.
The gay guy.
And he said, that's all I know is he always says he's the Treasury. He's the first openly gay cabinet member.
Openly gay.
So that's why he says it all the time.
Jan Marino was the first
That's
gay
the only
cabinet
reason
member.
I know.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. I can't remember his name, but he said Zelensky has reneged on many deals. This is not the first. He said, so he came into here.
Scott Bassett.
Scott Bassett, that's right. So I apologize. He said he came into here already declining 2 other deals behind closed doors that we had made for him with this minerals and all this stuff. So he said Zelensky was the one that was pulling a stunt. Yep. Zelensky was the one that was playing the media, not Trump and JD. He said this guy never planned on making a deal. It was all theater. He's an actor. Remember? He's an actor, not a good one, and he's a dancer. This guy's into the drama, and he came here and he staged this whole thing, and it was all planned and pre-scripted. And I read online Susan Rice coached him. Why the hell is she involved? So she's working with the Ukrainians now against us?
Well, that may have been
a mess.
If Susan Rice was giving him advice, that might be an insurrection. She was interrupting government business.
That's what
She's
it was
trying
reported.
to manipulate. So maybe Susan Rice is involved in an insurrection there by their standards of insurrections.
Well, I saw something, everybody's picking a side now. And Trump said, I'm not on any side. They're desperate to align him with Putin. He said, I'm on America's side, which was the right thing to say. But Dolly Parton has chosen a side. And, this is what aggravates me. Dolly Parton is one of the most beloved singers in this country. She's world famous, and she has never been political.
Not that I know of.
She's 80-something years old, right? She looks like a wax figure. She's had so much work done, but I love her. She's an American icon. She did a concert last night, and she said, I don't want to get political, but
I'm going to.
But she dedicated her concert to the people in the Ukraine. I couldn't. I got to
tell you.
Why would you do that at that point in your career?
Dolly Parton, senility. Dolly Parton's Dollywood is going to be hit by that because people that go to Dollywood are MAGA people.
This
liberals
is somebody
do you think liberals go to Dollywood?
No,
I don't think so.
No. This is somebody who doesn't know how to read the room. No, liberals go to Disney World.
Exactly.
MAGA goes to Dollywood. In fact, my best friend's been to Dollywood. She said it's awesome.
Yeah, people love it.
But it's in the Smoky Mountains. It's beautiful there. It's in her hometown of Pigeon Forge where she grew up. But I couldn't believe that. I mean, she's entitled to her opinions, but she dedicated a concert to these people. Does she know anything about what's going on over there? Do you know, I've seen videos on X this all weekend of, I don't know if this is true, but I've seen videos of men being kidnapped and forced to fight off the streets in the Ukraine because they're running out of soldiers. They're doing that now. I saw a video, like Rachel Campos said, of a guy with Down syndrome in the foxhole, all fighting. I mean, they don't know what's going on here. And they have lost 25% of their population, but they're in a line. So now he went over to England and Europe, and now they're going to give him all their money. Fine, go bankrupt. Follow this Pied Piper into the lake and see what happens. You're gonna lose all your money. You're gonna lose thousands, maybe millions of your own people. I don't get it. This is let me ask you a question because I was curious. When we had our Civil War, did any other country get involved?
No.
Okay.
No. Not even England.
Exactly. I was thinking about that last night. We had a civil war. It was the only war I think America's had that did not involve other countries. We fought it just on our own. It was a horrible, horrible thing. It killed more Americans than any other war, all the wars combined. But every other war has involved these multi-country organizations. And now we have NATO and these other things, and it's like become globalist, and like we're obligated to get involved in these civil wars. And it's a bunch of nonsense. It's a civil war, what's going on in Russia, like we had here. Did we expect anybody to come fight for us? No, and nobody did. It was internal.
Well, the South tried to get England involved, and they wouldn't do it.
Exactly. So why the hell are we getting involved?
Exactly.
This is Ukraine's problem. It's a Ukraine-Russia civil war. This is not a global world war, but it's going to become one now because Europe's getting more involved.
Yeah. Now, I want to tell everyone about Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. He's a good MAGA guy. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. And if you're in the state of Florida and you need roof repair or replacement, Tom Laporta, he's the guy. He works with every type of roofing material there is. He also has the same tiles that are on Mar-a-Lago, which are very rare specialty tiles, and they're multicolored. So if you want, they're different colors and a special pattern, and they're very unique. Tom Laporta has those tiles. So if you want to have a Trump roof on your home, when you call, say, hey, I want that Trump roof. But he handles every type of roofing material there is. He works on every type of structure, municipal, commercial, single-family homes. He can also handle a job of any size. If you have just a single home like we do, he can help you. But if you have a condo, an HOA, or an office complex that has 350 buildings, he can handle that as well. It's really amazing. Now, I'm going to give you his cell phone number and website. Tom Laporta only gives his cell phone number out to our listeners, okay, on the different platforms I'm on. When you go to his website, the phone number on his website, LaportaRoofing.com, is the main office number, okay? But I'm going to give you Tom Laporta's cell phone. You can call or text. And here's the number, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Of course, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. This is where MAGA comes to talk.